Welcome back, everybody. It is Friday, August 21st, 2026. And we left off on Exodus 22, verse 1, excuse me. If a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall repay 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. If a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun has risen on him, there shall be blood guilt for him. If a thief is found breaking in and is struck so that he dies, there shall be no blood guilt for him. But if the sun has risen on him, there shall be blood guilt for him. He shall surely pay. If he has nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. If the stolen beast is found alive in his possession, whether it is an ox or a donkey or a sheep, he shall pay double. What does that mean if the sun has risen on him? Like if he gets away with it? Let's find out. What does it mean if the sun has risen on him? Is that a euphemism for him getting away with it and then getting caught later? No, if the sun has risen on him is essentially literal here. If it is daylight, it isn't a euphemism. What is this? No. If it is daylight. The key is to read Exodus 22, 2 through 3 as one continuous law. The ESV's wording is very literal and therefore a little opaque in modern English. The situation is, at night, a homeowner discovers a thief breaking in. If the homeowner strikes the thief and accidentally, fatally kills him, the homeowner does not incur blood guilt. After sunrise, during daylight, if the homeowner kills the thief, the homeowner does incur blood guilt. Okay. If the thief survives, the thief is responsible for restitution. He must repay what he stole. If he cannot pay, the law provides for him to be sold into servitude to satisfy the debt. So why does daylight make a difference? The apparent legal principle is about the degree of threat and the justification for lethal force. At night, the homeowner wakes to someone breaking into the house. He cannot readily determine who the intruder is, whether he is armed, or what he intends to do. The confrontation is dangerous and confused. So if the intruder dies during the homeowner's defense, the law does not automatically treat the homeowner as guilty of unlawful killing. I see. But once the sun is risen, visibility changes the circumstances. The homeowner can more readily assess what is happening. Theft by itself does not justify killing the thief. The thief is supposed to live and make restitution, which explains why the text immediately says, he shall surely pay. Okay. All right. Verse 5, if a man causes a field or vineyard to be grazed over, or lets his beast loose and it feeds in another man's field, he shall make restitution from the best in his own field and in his own vineyard. If fire breaks out and catches in thorns so that the stacked grain or the standing grain or the field is consumed, he who started the fire shall make full restitution. If a man gives to his neighbor money or goods to keep safe, it is stolen from the man's house, then if the thief is found, he shall pay double. If the thief is not found, the owner of the house shall come near to God to show whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. For every breach of trust, whether it is for an ox, for a donkey, for a sheep, for a cloak, or for any kind of lost thing of which one says, this is it, the case of both parties shall come before God. The one whom God condemns shall pay double to his neighbor. If a man gives to his neighbor a donkey or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep safe, and it dies, or is injured, or is driven away without anyone seeing it, an oath by the Lord shall be between them both to see whether or not he has put his hand to his neighbor's property. The owner shall accept the oath, and he shall not make restitution. But if it is stolen from him, he shall make restitution to its owner. If it is torn by beast, let him bring it as evidence. He shall not make restitution for what has been torn. If a man borrows anything of his neighbor, and it is injured or dies, the owner not being with it, he shall make full restitution. If the owner was with it, he shall not make restitution. If it was hired, it came for its hiring fee. If a man seduces a virgin who is not betrothed and lies with her, he shall give the bride price for her and make her his wife. If her father utterly refuses to give her to him, he shall pay money equal to the bride price for virgins. You shall not permit a sorceress to live. Whoever lies with an animal shall be put to death. Whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone shall be devoted to destruction. Okay, so I understand what verse 19 is. It's saying bestiality is punishable by death. A sorceress, though, what does that mean exactly? What does that imply? Describe in modern terms what these things are. It doesn't want to. Okay. Dude. Oh my gosh. In modern terms, these two laws describe two practices ancient Israel was commanded to eliminate from its community: sorcery, witchcraft. Okay, so witchcraft and worship of sacrificial service to other gods. So you shall not permit a sorceress to live. A sorceress here means a person practicing magic or occult arts, which was someone believed to use supernatural techniques to produce effects, obtain hidden knowledge, manipulate events, or invoke spiritual powers. And then whoever sacrifices to any god other than the Lord alone. This is about idolatrous worship. But what does devoted to destruction mean? Number 3. This is stronger than simply punished. The Hebrew concept here is herem, meaning something set apart or placed under a ban for destruction. In this judicial context, it ultimately entails death and destruction rather than something like a fine or temporary exclusion. So put plainly into modern categories, offering religious sacrifices to another deity was a capital offense in ancient Israel. Okay, it half answered it. Is this saying that idolatrous worship was irredeemable, meaning there was no forgiveness? It was an unforgivable sin. No, does not mean idolatry was an unforgivable or spiritually irredeemable sin. It means that under Israel's covenant law, certain acts could carry a death penalty. That's different from saying God could not forgive the sinner. Okay, so wait, this is it, the case of both parties. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Devoted to destruction. So, what specifically does devoted to destruction mean then? In one short paragraph. That's what I should have started with. Devoted to destruction translates the Hebrew concept harem, meaning that a person or thing was irrevocably set apart to God and therefore removed from ordinary human use, typically by destruction or death. In Exodus 22:20, it means the person committing sacrificial idolatry was liable to be put to death under Israel's covenant law. But it does not mean that the person's soul was necessarily condemned beyond repentance or forgiveness. Okay. All right. We got there. So verse 21. You shall not wrong a sojourner or oppress him, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. You shall not mistreat any widow. So a sojourner, like a foreigner. You shall not mistreat any widow or fatherless child. If you do mistreat them and they cry out to me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath will burn, and I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall become widows. Dang. And your children fatherless. Yikes. If you lend money to any of my people with you, who is poor, you shall not be like a moneylender to him, and you shall not exact interest from him. If ever you take your neighbor's cloak in pledge, you shall return it to him before the sun goes down, for that is his only covering, and it is his cloak for his body. In what else shall he sleep? And if he cries to me, I will hear, for I am compassionate. You shall not revile God, nor curse a ruler of your people. You shall not delay to offer from the fullness of your harvest and from the outflow of your presses. The firstborn of your sons you shall give to me. You shall do the same with your oxen and with your sheep. 7 days it shall be with its mother. On the 8th day you shall give it to me. You shall be consecrated to me. Therefore you shall not eat any flesh that is torn by beast in the field. You shall throw it to the dogs. Exodus 23. You shall not spread a false report. You shall not join hands with a wicked man to be a malicious witness. So don't conspire. You shall not fall in with the many to do evil, nor shall you bear witness in a lawsuit, siding with the many, so as to pervert justice, nor shall you be partial to a poor man in his lawsuit. If you meet your enemy's ox or his donkey going astray, you shall bring it back to him. If you see the donkey of one who hates you lying down under its burden, you shall refrain from leaving him with it. You shall rescue it with him. You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in his lawsuit. Wait, what? You shall not pervert the justice due to your poor in his lawsuit. Keep far from a false charge, and do not kill the innocent and righteous, for I will not acquit the wicked. You shall take no bribe, for a bribe blinds the clear-sighted and subverts the cause of those who are in the right. You shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner. Okay, now I got it. It sounds like a foreigner, but let's just be clear about that because it keeps saying it. Whoops. Discard. What is a sojourner? A sojourner is someone who lives temporarily in a place that is not their native home. Okay. It's like a nomad, an immigrant. Okay. Verse 9, you shall not oppress a sojourner. You know the heart of a sojourner, for you were sojourners in the land of Egypt. For 6 years you shall sow your land and gather in its yield. But the 7th year you shall let it rest and lie fallow, that the poor of your people may eat, and what they leave the beast of the field may eat. You shall do likewise with your vineyard and with your olive orchard. Orchard. Excuse me. 6 days you shall do your work, but on the 7th day you shall rest, that your ox and your donkey may have rest, and the son of your servant woman and the alien may be refreshed. And the alien may be refreshed. I think that's mean like imported servants. But let's be clear here. What does alien mean in this context? In this passage, alien means foreigner or resident outsider. Okay, yeah. So if they had slaves or something that they bought somewhere, an alien. Verse 13. Pay attention to all that I have said to you, and make no mention of the names of other gods, nor let it be heard on your lips. 3 times in the year you shall keep a feast to me. You shall keep the feast of unleavened bread. As I have commanded you, you shall eat unleavened bread for 7 days at the appointed time in the month of Abib. For in it you came out of Egypt. None shall appear before me empty-handed. You shall keep the feast of the harvest, of the firstfruits of your labor, of what you sow in the field. You shall keep the feast of ingathering at the end of the year, when you gather in from the field the fruit of your labor. 3 times in the year shall all your males appear before the Lord God. You shall not offer the blood of my sacrifice with anything leavened, or let the fat of my feast remain until the morning. The best of the firstfruits of your ground you shall bring into the house of the Lord your God. You shall not boil a young goat in its mother's milk. Ooh. Behold, I send an angel before you to guard you on the way and to bring you to the place that I have prepared. Pay careful attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. But if you carefully obey his voice and do all that I say, actually, hold on. I wonder, let me mark this so I don't get lost. What angel he's talking about, or if this is another Christophany. Let's see. What angel is God talking about here, or is this another Christophany? I.e., a pre-incarnate Christ sighting. Yes, many Christian interpreters understand the angel in Exodus as more than an ordinary created angel, and there is a substantial case that this is the same divine figure, often called the angel of the Lord, which Christians have historically associated with the pre-incarnate Christ, a Christophany. The wording is unusually strong. God says, pay careful attention to him and obey his voice. Do not rebel against him, for he will not pardon your transgression, for my name is in him. In other words, he has the same authority God does. My name is in him, Son of God. Yeah, okay. So it sounds like it. All right, so that's interesting. Verse 22, but if you carefully obey his voice and do all that I say, then I will be an enemy to your enemies and an adversary to your adversaries. When my angel goes before you and brings you to the Amorites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Canaanites, the Hivites and the Jebusites, and I blot them out, you shall not bow down to their gods nor serve them, nor do as they do. You shall utterly overthrow them and break their pillars in pieces. You shall serve the Lord your God, and he will bless your bread and your water. And I will take sickness away from among you. None shall miscarry or be barren in your land. I will fulfill the number of your days. I will send my terror before you and will throw into confusion all the people against whom you shall come, and I will make all your enemies turn their backs to you. And I will send hornets before you, which shall drive out the Hivites, the Canaanites, and the Hittites from before you. I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the wild beast multiply against you. Little by little I will drive them out from before you, until you have increased and possess the land. And I will set your border from the Red Sea to the Sea of the Philistines, and from the wilderness to the Euphrates. For I will give the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and you shall drive them out before you. You shall make no covenant with them and their gods. They shall not dwell in your land, lest they make you sin against me. For if you serve their gods, it will surely be a snare to you. So this is interesting to me in the sense that this is a very, this is God speaking, so obviously he could do whatever he wants to do, but he chooses to respect, for lack of a better term, where did it go? Not here. He chooses to respect the natural order, meaning when he said, I think this is it, I will send my terror before you, and I will throw into confusion all the people against who you shall come. But then he says, I will send hornets before you. So he's using the natural order, natural things that he already created. He's not just using, he's not just snapping his fingers and making them run or controlling them. He's using hornets here. And then he also says, but I won't drive them out all at once. Otherwise, the beast will multiply against you. The wild beast will multiply against you. In other words, the people that are already there, the Hittites and the Canaanites, are hunting these beasts and keeping the population under control. But I think it's really interesting. So let me riff on that. What do the theologians say about this decision or behavior that God puts on display, where he more or less is respecting the natural order of things, meaning instead of just imposing his will on the Hivites and the Canaanites and the others that are there, he's using the beast of the land to, for example, drive them out little by little, but he's also concerned with the land not becoming desolate. Although he could just snap his fingers and make it not be so, but instead he respects nature in a sense. What do the theologians say about this? I guess you could say he's operating in his own framework that he created and not just doing like genie type magic. Yes, you're noticing something theologians have discussed under several related doctrines: divine providence, secondary causes, divine accommodation, and God's ordinary versus extraordinary governance of creation. What is especially interesting about Exodus 23:27 through 30 is that God does not merely announce the end result, I will give you the land. He describes a process with ecological constraints. There you go. That's a nice way to say it. He says, I will not drive them out from before you in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the wild beast multiply against you. And the next verse, little by little I will drive them out from before you until you have increased and possessed the land. So the observation is quite perceptive. Well, thank you. The omnipotent God behaves as though the integrity of created processes matters. Yeah, that's a nice way to put it. The omnipotent God, the all-powerful God, behaves as though the integrity of created processes matters, which obviously they do because he created them. The classical theological answer would generally not be that God has to respect nature, but rather that God ordinarily wills to accomplish his purposes through the nature he himself created. Yeah. Okay. That's yeah. There's a nice way to encapsulate that thought. All right, so Exodus 24, verse 1. Then he said to Moses, "Come up to the Lord, you and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar. Moses alone shall come near to the Lord, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him." Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord and all the rules. And all the people answered with one voice and said, "All the words that the Lord has spoken we will do." And Moses wrote down all the words of the Lord. He rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the people of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood and put it in basins, and half of the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. And they said, "All that the Lord has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient." And Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, "Behold, the blood of the covenant that the Lord has made with you in accordance with all these words." Then Moses and Aaron, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel went up, and they saw and they saw the God of Israel. There was under his feet as if, There was under his feet as it were a pavement of sapphire stone, like the very heaven for clearness. And he did not lay his hand on the chief men of the people of Israel. They beheld God and ate and drank. What? So they I always get confused, or not confused, but I like to break these instances down where it says that people saw God or saw the Lord, because I think it's later in this book, so we'll get there, where it says a man can't look at God's glory and survive. So whatever they're seeing is just a manifestation or a vision or something. It's not God directly, but let's talk about it. What do the theologians say that these men were seeing at this time, since it said that man cannot look directly upon God's glory and live? Exodus 24:10 through 11 is one of the classic texts theologians wrestle with when discussing theophany, which is a visible manifestation of God, a manifestation, but not God himself. Because scripture elsewhere says that no human being can see God in the fullness of his unveiled glory and survive. So that's Exodus 33. So we're like 10 chapters away from that. The most common Christian interpretation is that Moses, Aaron, Nadab, Abihu, and the 70 elders genuinely saw God, but they did not see the fullness of God's divine essence or unmediated glory. They saw God as he chose to manifest himself. Okay, that makes more sense. All right. Notice that what Exodus actually describes. They saw the God of Israel. There was under his feet, as it were, a pavement of sapphire stone. Interestingly, the text does not describe God's face. It immediately directs our attention to what is beneath his feet. Yeah, this is also interesting too, because as we've read through on this stream, the book of Revelation, and John describes seeing Jesus in a similar way. I think he had feet of, or maybe not, I think it was bronze. I don't know, but it's similar imagery. Anyway, That has led many interpreters to understand the scene as a throne room vision. God is truly present, but what the elders perceive is an accommodated manifestation of him, something finite human beings can actually endure. Okay. Verse 12, the Lord said to Moses, "Come up to me on the mountain and wait there, that I may give you the tablets of stone with the law and the commandment, which I have written for their instruction." So Moses rose with his assistant Joshua, and Moses went up into the mountain of God. And he said to the elders, "Wait here for us until we return to you. And behold, Aaron and Hur are with you. Whoever has a dispute, let him go to them." Then Moses went up on the mountain, and the cloud covered the mountain. The glory of the Lord dwelt on Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days. And on the 7th day he called to Moses out of the midst of the cloud. Now the appearance of the glory of the Lord was like a devouring fire on the top of the mountain in the sight of the people of Israel. Moses entered the cloud and went up on the mountain. And Moses was on the mountain 40 days and 40 nights. Exodus 25. The Lord said to Moses, "Speak to the people of Israel that they take for me a contribution. From every man whose heart moves him, you shall receive the contribution for me. And this is the contribution that you shall receive from them: gold, silver, and bronze, blue and purple and scarlet yarns, and fine twined linen, goat's hair, tanned ram's skin, goat skins, acacia wood, oil for the lamps, spices for the anointing oil, and for the fragrant incense, onyx stones, and stones for setting, for the ephod and for the breastpiece, and let them make me a sanctuary, that I may dwell in their midst, exactly as I show you concerning the pattern of the tabernacle, and of all its furniture, so you shall make it. They shall make an ark of acacia wood, 2 cubits and a half shall be its length, 1 cubit and a half its breadth, and 1 cubit and a half its height. You shall overlay it with pure gold. Inside and outside shall you overlay it, and you shall make on it a molding of gold around it. You shall cast 4 rings of gold for it, and put them on its 4 feet. 2 rings on the one side of it, and 2 rings on the other side of it. You shall make poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. And you shall put the poles into the rings on the sides of the ark to carry the ark by them. The poles shall remain in the rings of the ark. They shall not be taken from it. And you shall put into the ark the testimony that I shall give you. You shall make a mercy seat of pure gold. 2 cubits and a half shall be its length, and 1 cubit and a half its breadth. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, cherubim being the type of angel. I think those are the ones with the eyes all over them. They look kind of like a wheel, or they're described as like a wheel shape with eyes all over. And you shall make 2 cherubim of gold, of hammered work shall you make them, on the 2 ends of the mercy seat. Make 1 cherub on the one end, and 1 cherub on the other end, of one piece with the mercy seat. Verse 19. Show me an image of what the Ark of the Covenant might look like as it's described in Exodus 25. Okay, we'll come back to that while it's working on that. Verse 20, the cherubim shall spread out their wings above, overshadowing the mercy seat with their wings, their faces one to another. Toward the mercy seat shall the faces of the cherubim be. And you shall put the mercy seat on the top of the ark, and in the ark you shall put the testimony that I shall give you. There I will meet with you, and from above the mercy seat, from between the 2 cherubim that are on the ark of the testimony, I will speak with you about all that I will give you in commandment for the people of Israel. What's happening? No, it's not done yet. Verse 23, you shall make a table of acacia wood. 2 cubits shall be its length. Wait, did I read this? No, I didn't. It just sounds similar. You shall make a table of acacia wood. 2 cubits shall be its length. A cubit its breadth, and a cubit and a half its height. You shall overlay it with pure gold and make a molding of gold around it. And you shall make a rim around it, a handbreadth wide, and a molding of gold around the rim. And you shall make for it 4 rings of gold, and fasten the rings to the 4 corners at its 4 legs. Close to the frame the rings shall lie, as holders for the poles to carry the table. You shall make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold, and the table shall be carried with these. And you shall make its plates and dishes for incense, and its flagons and bowls with which to pour drink offerings. You shall make them of pure gold, and you shall set the bread of the presence on the table before me regularly. You shall make a lampstand of pure gold. The lampstand shall be made of hammered work. Its base, its stem, its cups, its calyxes, and its flowers shall be of one piece with it. And there shall be 6 branches going out of its sides, 3 branches of the lampstand out of one side of it, and 3 branches of the lampstand out of the other side of it. 3 cups made like almond blossoms, each with calyx and flower, on one branch, and 3 cups made like almond blossoms, each with calyx and flower. And on the other branch, so for the 6 branches going out of the lampstand. And on the lampstand itself there shall be 4 cups made like almond blossoms, with their calyxes and flowers, and a calyx of one piece with it under each pair of the 6 branches going out from the lampstand. This is very specific. Their calyxes and their branches shall be of one piece with it, the whole of it a single piece of hammered work of pure gold. You shall make 7 lamps for it, and the lamp shall be set up so as to give light on the space in front of it. Its tongs and their trays shall be of pure gold. It shall be made with all these utensils out of a talent of pure gold. And see that you make them after the pattern for them, which is being shown you on the mountain. Dang. Okay, so let's see. Which image do you like more, I guess? Number 1. Let's see. That's pretty wild. I think, I forget which book it is, but the poles here were meant, they had to carry him by the poles. You couldn't touch the ark directly, or it was just like insta-gib, you would die, which happens later in the Bible. So you had to carry him by the poles. Okay. Exodus 26. So that's probably a good spot to stop for the night, since it's getting a little bit late past my bedtime. So we'll pick it up tomorrow on Exodus 26, verse 1. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to drop a sub, share it with a friend. God bless you guys, and good night.